Hi, my name is Adil and I've been a client of the Insight Group for 4 years. Sure. So I'm a London professional, and a few years ago I became an accidental landlord, having moved out of a flat and moved out to the suburbs of London with a family for a bit more space. Upon reviewing the mortgages and reviewing my position in respect of my accidental buy-to-let, I was quite surprised to see just how well it had done after about 12 months. It was really well positively cash flowed. At that time there'd been really good kind of capital appreciation, and I was just really impressed with it. So I thought maybe I need to be thinking about adding more property to my portfolio. That was 4 years ago. So I reflected on that, and like a lot of people, I thought that the property bubble had come and got, or the opportunities for investing in property had probably come and gone already, and there's all this kind of daytime TV, homes under the hammer kind of syndrome, and I was always very nervous of the risk associated with tying up capital in that way. Also, living and working in the southeast, I felt that the opportunities weren't really there. So the yields are really low inside the M25. It's very much a capital growth market. There's not been much growth inside the M25 in the southeast for the last 2 or 3 years. So I thought that maybe there weren't opportunities there. So I started looking a bit further afield. And one evening I was Googling, as you do, and I thought, I wonder if there were people who would help me build a portfolio. So I put in a few search terms such as portfolio building company, etc. And I was surprised to find that there were quite a few investment firms and property firms that specialise in building portfolios for clients. So I put together a short list of 3, and I went off and did my due diligence. So I met the MDs or CEOs of each organisation, essentially interviewed them, visited their offices, reviewed their processes, did my own due diligence, spoke to existing clients, and in my opinion, I found that the Insight Group was kind of head and shoulders above the other 2. So I mobilised my equity and invested with the Insight Group. The Insight Group offer a number of products. The products within which I'm invested is called the Portfolio Builder, and it's essentially is a done-for-you type model, where the Insight Group help you to source good properties below market value. Market value is a movable feast. So the Insight Group use a benchmark reference of a blinded Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors survey, and then any pricing is referenced off of that blinded survey, which I think gives you a lot of reassurance as a buyer that you are getting a bargain. So the properties are sourced for you. You get to choose the one that you feel you're really happy with and fulfills your criteria, and then you're passed on from a sourcing team to a completions team who effectively support you by acting as the linchpin between your mortgage broker, your lawyer, and any developer or vendor, as well as a third party's conveyancing team. So they keep you in the loop, and they do the chasing, which is super helpful, and really great communication, really positive, really helpful. So yeah, so I was looking for I'm very involved in my portfolio. both in my insight portfolio and my non-insight portfolio. So I put a lot of time. I'm probably more involved than a lot of people are. But at the same time, I've recognised that I'm not always available, and I'm relatively time poor. So the done for you model, I thought was very attractive. My journey with Insight, what I've learned working with Insight, who I consider part of my core power team to build my portfolio and to copy a commonly used phrase now, to help build my wealth fortress. What I found is that once you have done all your due diligence and you're really comfortable and you want to start the relationship and start working with Insight, you go on a journey and you get to know people really well on a personal level, which is really fantastic, and you get to build trust and build relationships. So initially you're brought in by the relationship, a new client, new relationship manager who supports you in giving you all of your due diligence information, introducing you to existing clients, organising for you to meet Aaron and Richard in the office. So that's really kind of fantastic. They then hand you on to your long-term relationship manager, such as Sean and Alison, who are just absolutely spectacular, and they're your kind of regular contact points if you have any problems. In fact, to let your viewers into a little secret, within the organisation, they're recognised as being the client advocates, and they wear some silly glasses in the office. So if they're going to go and troubleshoot a problem for you, and when they're being the client, they will put on the silly glasses and they will convey your message and share your thoughts or your worries, and they are your advocate, which is fantastic. And they support you in terms of building your portfolio, reviewing your portfolio regularly. So all of my portfolio is on a central database, which is preset with mortgage review alarms and equity extraction milestones to drive and build a portfolio. You're never just parked in the dark and left to your own devices. You're always being managed, which is fantastic. Then as you then go onto the sourcing list to source properties. You're offered properties as and when they come up. Often they come in big flourishes, which is great. You respond within 24 hours of being offered the property, because if you're not going to take it, it has to be passed on to another client. Once you've committed to your purchase, you're then passed on to the completions team, and they look after you all through the entire journey, and when necessary they'll introduce you, if you wish, to recognised high calibre legal teams for conveyancing and brokerages for mortgages. Once you get to completion, you're handed over to the refurb team, who send out a snagging inspector who will snag new builds for you or inspect existing builds for you, who then put together a schedule of appropriate refurb works, take appropriate pictures, and simultaneously, while any works are being conducted, your property is marketed. So my record is 3 days from completion to the tenant moving in, which is pretty impressive. Thus far I've had 0 voids, and my property and the portfolio are all being looked after by the lettings team, who again have been great. I've had a few repairs that have needed doing. I think one emergency repair and a couple of maintenance type repairs. The emergencies have all been actioned immediately, and that's really important to me, because I want to know that the tenants are looked after and don't feel that they're being ignored or not being listened to, and that the routine work has always been actioned within 2 to 3 days. So that was there was some heavy winds a few months ago, and some fencing needed to be replaced, and kind of regular things like that. But no, I've been super impressed. Looking forwards, very soon I'm looking to go through an equity extraction cycle with a view to getting the portfolio to to build itself and self-perpetuate. So I'm really excited about that next year. The whole thing seems to be very holistic, end to end, which I think is really good. So the factors regarding the Insight Group that really attracted me to them was the fact that everyone was obsessed about attention to detail and processes. And although different teams were managing different elements of the pathway, the whole thing came together in one holistic piece. It wasn't, we'll find you a property and you can get on with it, and here's what you need to do. It was every piece was meticulously managed. So when I visited the Insight Group, I met every member of every team. I got the opportunity to see, how the lettings team worked, how the sourcing team worked, how the completions team worked. The whiteboards in the office, the list of properties, the task points, the action points, the timelines, the dates. So all of that I found really, really positive. My advice to anyone starting out on their journey would be to invest time, effort and resources where appropriate in getting educated. You cannot outsource your education. You have to understand things even if other people are doing it for you. Okay? So there are lots of great resources. There are some fantastic books. There are lots of seminars and teaching programs which are really, really good. There are lots of great YouTube videos. I would tell people that you do not need to spend tens of thousands of pounds getting educated, and there are lots of so-called gurus who are all about the upsell. One of the things that attracted me to Aaron was that his business is a property business, but he also educates. Other people seem to run education businesses but don't do that much themselves. So that was very appealing to me. But my first piece of advice is get educated. It's super, super important. My second piece of advice is do your due diligence. And if people that you approach, whomever they may be, the Insight Group or anyone else, if they appear standoffish, not willing to share information, and not willing to engage, then just walk away. If they're not, obviously company records are a matter of public record, and you can pull those from Companies House. But I would ask people for their personal accounts, and I have done that, and that's been forthcoming. My next piece of advice is also to be meticulous about looking at people's processes and challenging them. And lastly, building a power team. So people in property often talk about having a power team, and what they talk about classically is having trades, having plumbers 3 deep, builders, a handyman who's going to do your regular call outs, having a good agent, etc. And those are all really, really important on the ground power team members. But if you're doing things a little bit more remotely, if you're doing things a little bit more as in wearing more of an investor hat than a hands-on type hat, then it's really important to have your kind of a higher level macro team, who I would say include your accountant, your independent financial advisor, and your mortgage broker. I used my power team to sense check my decision-making process around working with a portfolio company, and I found that really invaluable.